Welcome to the Mind Valley Podcast. This is your host, Vishen Lakhiani. So before we get started, if you are not yet part of Mind Valley, go check it out. mindvalley.com/now. Mind Valley has built the world's most advanced education system. We have assembled some of the world's greatest thinkers in every aspect of truly experiencing life as a human being, from starting businesses to creating advanced health, to creating the most remarkable relationships, to being a better mom and dad, to being more in control of your habits, your behaviors, your character, to going into deep spiritual skills, advanced meditation abilities. All of this for just $1.60 a day. And when you're a Mind Valley member, you're also part of a private social network with close to 500,000 people globally who are dedicating their lives to becoming the best darn human being they can be. Go check it out and learn about Mind Valley at mindvalley.com/now, NOW. Go check it out. And now back to the Mind Valley podcast.
Money buys happiness. Okay, I know it doesn't. I know that there are plenty of people that have a lot of money and it doesn't make them happy, and there's no question about it. I just want to suggest that financial liberty creates a level of personal freedom that makes happiness easier.
Hi, I'm Vishen Lakhiani, founder of Mind Valley, the school for human transformation. You're listening to the Mind Valley podcast, where we'll be bringing you the greatest teachers and thought leaders on the planet to discuss the world's most powerful ideas in personal growth for mind, body, spirit, and work.
I first of all want to thank Mind Valley for creating the space for this, and to Vishen particularly for I guess making the lateral jump of letting me come and talk about business, because for most of you who know me through Mind Valley, you'll know me as a food crank, somebody who's really fascinated by food, nutrition, food psychology, and doing everything I can to help people change their relationship with food all around the world. And so when I went to Vishen and said, listen, I'd like to come and talk about entrepreneurship, the initial reaction he had, which is very reasonable, is, well, everybody thinks of you as the health guy. Well, the fact is that if I hadn't handled my life financially, if I hadn't figured out business, I wouldn't have been able to have the impact that I have, where we've now had hundreds of thousands of people all around the world impacted by WildFit. I wouldn't have been able to do that if I didn't first handle some stuff in the world of entrepreneurship and business. So I'm thrilled to be here to share this with you. I also know something about you, and I mean you, is that right now, I know that someone is watching and their life is going to get changed in the next 45 minutes. And I know that because I was that person sitting in the audience. I remember distinctly sitting in an audience at the age of about 20 years old and watching somebody speak about entrepreneurship, and it lit me on fire. It lit me on fire because all of a sudden I felt like maybe I could have some control over my destiny. Look, when I was a kid, I was born originally in South Africa, and my parents had decided to leave South Africa, in opposition to the government at the time and all that sort of stuff. And when they did that, they made a tough decision. And here was the tough decision. My grandparents were very wealthy, but they did not agree with us leaving for Canada. And so they basically cut us off. And so we went to Canada and we were not wealthy. And it was kind of an interesting thing to have come from a family that had a great deal of wealth and to kind of feel like, oh, look, there's intergenerational wealth here. And then to have it be gone and suddenly realize that, it's all up to you. It's all up to me. And as I sat in this one talk and learned about entrepreneurship, something shifted for me, because for the 12 years of school that I went through before that, nobody ever really talked about entrepreneurship. You know what they talked about? Getting a job. They talked about getting a job security, a salary, a paycheck. Here's what I want to share with you. In my opinion, entrepreneurship is the ultimate expression of personal freedom when it's practiced correctly, because for a lot of people, entrepreneurship becomes a form of advanced self-torture and hard work and sacrifice and not getting to spend time with your family and often not even paying yourself enough to do it. But that's not the fault of entrepreneurship. That has a lot more to do with the way we're educated and the way we are taught about entrepreneurship. Real entrepreneurship, practiced properly, is the ultimate expression of personal freedom. In fact, it's like the new royal family, isn't it? Like in the old days, if you wanted to be a member of the royal family, you had to be, well, frankly, born into it. And maybe you could, in a Disney way, kind of marry your way into one, but the truth is you had to be born into it. Today, the royals of the world are the people that have had the biggest impact and created the highest amount of value for people all over the world, and they now are the real royalty of our planet today. And yes, you know some of them. You know who Elon Musk is, and you know who Warren Buffett is, and you know who Bill Gates is, and you may or may not like them. But those are only the ones at the very top. Here's something else that's really fascinating. I talk to people about morning rituals or getting into state before they go into a meeting or before they sit down to do some work, that maybe they should do some jumping jacks to get their energy up, or when they win, when they have a big victory, that they should celebrate it. But here's the thing. They're like, yeah, but I would do that stuff, but this is just work. I mean, look, if I was a professional sports person or if I was an actor, I would really do that stuff. I'd manage, pay more attention to my diet, and I would do jumping jacks, and I'd get my blood going. Well, why would you do it if you were in sports? Or why would you do it if you were an actor? Well, because the opportunity is so big. No, it bloody isn't. It isn't so big at all. Go and Google it yourself. The richest actor in the world is worth about $800 million, which is a lot of money. It is. But it's a fraction of the richest entrepreneurs in the world. In fact, if you look at the richest actors in the world, by the time you get to about level 100, like number one, 800 million, then 100 million, then 50 million. By the time you get down to the 100th or 150th actor, they're living in a trailer park somewhere in Memphis. It's not that big an opportunity. Same in sports. Yes, the odd sports person is making 50 or 100 million dollars. You got the Federers out there and the Ronaldos. But the truth is that the vast majority of them don't ever hit that level of success. And they're age limited. Look at old man Federer. I mean, how old is he now? He's coming up to, he's ancient. No, he's not. He's young. But in his sport, he is. There's a better sport you can play. The sport's called entrepreneurship. And if you look at the richest person, the person who's created the greatest financial wealth from playing that game is worth over $100 billion. And so is the number 2, and so is the number 3. And you can continue to go on. The top 10 are all multi-billionaires. The top 100 are billionaires. Then you could talk about the 3-digit millionaires for a few days. Then you could talk about the 2-digit millionaires for a few months. And then there are countless millionaires. Entrepreneurship is the greatest opportunity for personal freedom ever. And so I want to share some things with you that might answer for you how to apply it in your life and how to create some real, serious freedom for yourself. Because there are 3 gifts that I gave myself as a young man. 1, I gave myself the gift of health by understanding my relationship with food. 2, I gave myself the gift of communication, overcoming my fear and social anxiety and becoming comfortable with speaking. Number 3, I gave myself financial security by understanding entrepreneurship. And I want to say something incredibly unpopular. Money buys happiness. Okay, I know it doesn't. I know that there are plenty of people that have a lot of money and it doesn't make them happy, and there's no question about it. I just want to suggest that financial liberty creates a level of personal freedom that makes happiness easier, makes it easier to follow your passion. And I'm going to give you a very visceral example right out of my life. My most successful business, by every measure, spiritually, passion, money, my most successful business is a little business that I started as a hobby. A little business that I started in my living room one day. I'd been involved in other companies. I started my first company when I was 27 years old. We sold wireless networking systems and data capture solutions and barcode scanners and so on. After that, I bought a film studio in Northern California where we worked on special effects, and we did movies like Avatar and Pirates of the Caribbean and super cool stuff. Then I created another company that did medical simulation, and we won awards from the US Army and the US Congress. I've had some really fascinating businesses. But there came a point where I started a business and it had nothing to do with the money. Nothing. I did it because I wanted to help. I did it because I had been suffering as a young man. I'd been sick and I'd been in pain and I'd been dealing with all kinds of medications and nothing was helping. I'd seen every specialist that I could find and nothing helped. And then one day I managed to solve that problem for myself. And suddenly I had energy and I wasn't sick anymore. And I would suggest to you that one of the reasons that I get to live the life that I get to live today is because I turned that health corner. And I suddenly wanted to take that to people. And so I was living in my little house and I opened up a Google account and I started doing these coaching sessions for people for free. And it became a company called WildFit. WildFit has now helped hundreds of thousands of people in over 100 countries around the world. We have over 400 certified coaches everywhere. It has become my most successful business in every measure. The impact that it's had on people around the world is something that I still can't come to terms with. Every single day, I get messages from people on Instagram and Facebook telling me how they've reversed their diabetes, they're no longer in pain, their inflammation is gone, they're no longer on prescription medication, the lifelong chronic medications they were on are no longer necessary. I get these messages every day. And I want you to know that one of the reasons I get these messages is that the day that I sat down to start that company, I didn't need to make money. I want you to hear me about that. You see, as a young man, when I started a business, what was I after? Sports cars, right? I wanted money. I wanted to have fancy stuff. But then as I got older and as I solved some of these mysteries in business, I came to a place where what I really wanted to do was give back. And so the reason I'm here with you today, the reason that we've launched the Business Freedom Blueprint on Mindvalley, and the reason that I teach entrepreneurship through businessfreedom.com is that I believe the world needs a little help right now. Are you with me? I mean, do you think we need some social change? Is it possible? Do we possibly need some food production change? Do we need some healthcare change? Do we need some political change? And we need some change. And you know, the crazy thing is the best people in the world to facilitate that change are entrepreneurs. They are. They're creative and driven and optimistic. But the problem is so many of them start a business and then proceed to spend the next 5, 6, 7 years of their life solving problems that other people have solved before. And so I want to come along and help solve those problems for you so that you can have the kind of business success you really want to have, because my theory is, and you can tell me, but is it true that if you didn't have to make decisions based on bringing money in the door, that if you didn't have to make decisions based on survival, if you didn't have to make decisions like that, that you would turn a lot more of your attention onto the social and welfare challenges that exist all around you, wherever you are in the world? I've spoken on business in probably 25 or 30 countries around the world, and I've seen all kinds of different approaches to this. One of my very first business talks I did was in London, England. And I was blown away that one talk in 90 minutes, to this day, many of those people in that audience from over 15 years ago are still writing to me. I still speak to them because that one talk inspired them so much to change their life and business. I've also spoken in South Africa. Matter of fact, I went once on a multiple city tour all through India. And you know what I found? The entrepreneurial spirit in India is so strong. It's so incredibly strong. Every country has a different approach to the way entrepreneurship needs to be handled. But here's the one thing that's consistent, is our school system is not supporting us. So I want to share with you how you might have some ideas about the way business works that you inherited from school unconsciously. And I want to help you to maybe release them today. And then I want to share some really powerful principles with you about entrepreneurship that can, if you haven't started yet, help you lay a solid foundation. Or if you have started, make some course corrections that might create more freedom for you. Because here's something. As your business grows, should you end up with more freedom or less freedom? More. But that's not usually what happens for most people, is it? As the company grows, they become busier. As the company gets bigger, they end up having to put more time in and sacrifice more time with their families. And I don't want it to be that way for you. I want it to be like this. Yes, you will need to work hard and smart for a short period of time, but that's what entrepreneurship is. It's the opportunity to work a little harder and a little smarter than the average person for a short period of time so that you can create a life that other people only dream about when they buy their lottery ticket on Saturdays. It really is that kind of an opportunity. And here's what happened to us in school. Most of us go to school for something like 12 years. In school, if you get help on something and you weren't specifically told to get help, what's it called? Cheating. Isn't it? If you get help on an assignment and you weren't supposed to get that help, it's called cheating. In fact, even when you put children on teams in many school environments, you put them on teams, the children are vying for who did the most because it's competitive. You know, you go to school, the bell rings, class starts. The bell rings, you move to the next class. The bell rings, you eat your meal. The bell rings, you go to the next class. They were training us for jobs. They were training us for industrial age jobs. And they were not training us for innovation and thinking. What we want to do now is figure out, how do we make that change? How do we break out of that? Here's one great thing that helps so very much. Absolutely key to entrepreneurship is getting help. I was interviewed for this book about 3-4 years ago, and it was a book about dyslexia. Now, if you're not familiar with dyslexia is a condition that affects thought processes, and very badly defined. It basically means that some people have a hard time keeping left and right, or the order in which numbers or letters should appear in the right order. And I have this condition, mildly, enough that spelling is difficult for me. And don't ask me to remember your phone number. Like, it's difficult. And I have to say, I'm not so impressed that they called it dyslexia, because X's and Y's are even more challenging if you're dyslexic. I swear, a bunch of people were sitting around in a room going, we found this condition where they can't get the letters and numbers right. We should make up a word for it and make it super complicated. I think they should have called it Bob. If they just called it Bob, then you just say, I have Bob. And if you got it backwards, it would still be Bob. So in any event, I'm having this interview in this book, and the book is all about dyslexic entrepreneurs And the woman asks me a really interesting question. She says, apparently Bill Gates and Richard Branson are some of the people that apparently also are dealing with dyslexia. And why is it that dyslexics are unfairly selected for in entrepreneurship? What I mean is, why are they unfairly represented at the top of business? Why do they seem to do so well in business? And I said, well, I think there's a few reasons for that. The one is that if you're struggling with dyslexia, medical school and law school, they're quite difficult because there's a lot of writing and memorizing and formulas and all this stuff. And so the mental challenges you're facing actually probably get in the way a little bit more. But then there's another issue, and that is that once you realize you can't do certain stuff very well, you ask for help. It's in your nature. Once you recognize that you have this going on, you begin to get into the habit of asking for help and not doing it all for yourself. So I want to talk a little bit about that for you because you see, not only in school were we taught to do it ourselves, but here's something else we were taught. Did you ever get a report card back that listed all this stuff? You know, you had your maybe languages and history and sciences and what have you. And there was some stuff that you did really well at. And the teacher said, well done. But there was other stuff that wasn't so good. And then the teacher wrote in red, more focus required here. For 12 years, we received report cards that kept redirecting our focus onto our weaknesses, that kept redirecting our focuses onto the things that we weren't doing so well. Now listen, I'm not saying you should simply abandon stuff because you're not good at it. I'm all for that we have to learn certain core principles. But for 12 years, we were conditioned to put our attention where we were failing. What if for 12 years, we were also really heavily supported to put even more attention to the things we were brilliant at? You know what? Because there are some people who are just phenomenally good at vision. They're incredibly creative and dynamic. And there are other people that are very grounded and they're incredibly good at details and they're great at numbers. There are some people who just have a natural way with people. They just have this incredible ability to feel how other people are feeling and to lead them and manage them and work with them. There's all kinds of different skills out there. And what we want to do is find our most natural skills and put our focus in those areas in business. But yet in school, we kept being redirected away from that. We kept being pushed to the thing that wasn't necessarily our best thing. So what does that mean? Well, what I want to suggest to you is this. Wherever you are in your business right now, I would like you to think about two whys. Why are you in business? One of them should be selfish. And I mean selfish, like, why are you in business? I'll tell you, when I first got into business, I was in business because I wanted to be economically free. I wanted to make sure that my retirement was going to be comfortable and safe and amazing and wherever I wanted it to be. So I want you to know what your personal why is. What kind of lifestyle do you want to live? What do you want to be able to provide for your family? What do you want to be able to do for your children if you've got them? What do you want to be able to do for yourself to improve your own quality of life? And then I want you to go to another why. And this is the big important one, is that I'm really curious, like, if your business was operating really well, really smoothly, if you didn't have to worry about solving the next marketing puzzle, or you weren't worried about bringing cash flow in because your company did that stuff really well, what would you turn your attention to? Would you end up starting another business? Would you take on social projects? Would you maybe get involved in politics? Because I can tell you, I've been taking a look at politics around the world, and you know what we need? We need some new people to get involved in politics, not the ones that are in there now. Yes, once we solve our business lives, what happens is we can kind of get a little bit bored. And my goal is to help you become a bored entrepreneur. I'm kind of kidding. But what I mean is that if your business isn't torturing you, if it's not stressing you out, you're not full of anxiety, if your business operates smoothly, then you will become bored and you will do the most amazing things. So I want to share a couple of things with you right now, and then I'm going to take questions because I want to give you the most practical steps that I can. And I want to encourage you, especially those of you who are already members at Mind Valley, go do the Business Freedom Blueprint and go through a 6-week process of laying the foundation to create the most phenomenal business. So here's one principle right off the bat. First thing is this. I want you to really give some thought to who you are and what kind of business you would need to build so that you spent the majority of your time doing what you loved. I know, this maybe doesn't sound so new. All these people out there saying, find your passion and follow your passion. That's not really what I'm saying. What I'm trying to say is that most people quit their job one day and decide, okay, now I want to be in business. And they wake up to the harsh reality that they quit one job with one area of responsibility and a guaranteed paycheck. And now they've suddenly got no guaranteed paycheck and they have to do 14 jobs. And some of those jobs they don't like. For example, when I did this, I was in a sales position. Suddenly I was in sales, I was in marketing, I was in customer service, I was in shipping and receiving, I was in accounting. I had to do all those things. So I want you to think about this. Think about all the core functions of your business, all of them, and then I want you to rate them based on how much you enjoy them. Enjoyment comes down to whether you like it and how good you are at it, a combination of those things. So in my case, I really liked sales. It was fun. I really liked the marketing stuff. That was fun. So I graded that. That's I can keep that. But then I took a look at, do I like the shipping and receiving? No, I don't like that. Okay, so I marked that. Okay, I'm gonna make my way out of there. Do I like doing the accounting? Hell no. Urgent, get out. So I'm gonna develop a plan. So this is the first thing I want you to think about is how do you start creating a roadmap to get out of the jobs, to get out of the roles that you don't really enjoy that much and probably aren't actually all that good at. Then once you've done that, now this is exciting. See, look, let's say you don't like doing accounting. And by the way, for those of you who love accounting, I know you do. I know, I don't understand how it happened. I don't know what happened that you love accounting, but you do, I get it. But for me, I didn't like it. Now, if I don't like it, what does that mean? It means that what I'm going to do is I'm going to procrastinate it, put it off, rush it, get it wrong, make mistakes, and it's not going to be good. But the minute I make the decision that I'm not doing it anymore, the minute I make the decision that I quit, I won't be doing the accounting. Now, obviously, I have to provide notice. I can't just quit on Monday and stop doing my accounting on Tuesday. I'm going to need to bring somebody else in, right? All right. But the minute I do that, something changes. There's light at the end of the tunnel. Let me explain. Let's say I hate doing my accounting and now I have accounting work to do. When I look at it, it looks permanent. I'm going to be doing this forever. I'm never going to escape. But the minute I change, the minute I give notice, the minute I say, within 3 months, 6 months, I'm done, then something changes. Because now when I do it knowing there's light at the end of the tunnel. And I do it knowing that I am laying the foundation and the procedures and the templates and the systems for the person who's going to be coming in to replace me when I'm ready. And that means I'm going to do the job with greater attention to detail. I'm going to document what I was doing. I'm going to save the work and processes. And I'll tell you the advantage of this. Please hear me. At first, it'll take a little work. You'll sit down to raise an invoice, and you could just quickly raise the invoice. But if instead you take out a scrap of paper and you write, open software, click raise invoice, and you start documenting what's going on, and you do this all through this job you don't like, here's the beauty. You're going to hire somebody one day when you're ready, not necessarily full-time, and maybe not even part-time, maybe even for a few hours a week, whatever. But when they come in, you're going to be able to hand them a document and say, this is how we do this job. And training is going to be so much easier. So I want you to think about how you could build a business and a roadmap that will allow you to create a structure where you spend the majority of your time doing what you love. And I'm going to share something with you about this that's life-changing right here, right now. You've probably heard about law of attraction. And some of you probably are very excited about law of attraction, and other people have this reaction. I know, it's all over the board. But I want to talk to you about attraction in very practical terms. We don't need a 90-minute movie about the secret. We don't need a whole book. I'm going to tell you how attraction works in business really simply. People are attracted to people who are in flow. People who are attracted to people who love what they're doing. You see, when somebody is having fun, when somebody is enjoying themselves, when they're full of passion, people are attracted to them. They want to be around them. Now, I want you to think about that. That means that if you've got two entrepreneurs, one entrepreneur goes to work and hates what they're doing. They spend a lot of their time doing their accounting over here that they don't like, and they're over here doing technical stuff that they don't really want to be doing. Now they're shipping and receiving some stuff. So a huge amount of their day is icky, sludgy stuff. But this other entrepreneur over here has figured it out and spends 90% of their time doing just stuff that they love because the other stuff is handled by automation, by people, by systems, and what have you. Which one of those entrepreneurs is creating greater attraction? Let me put it in another very practical way. I want you to imagine that you have a meeting, a really important meeting, a meeting with potential investors or maybe a really important person you're trying to recruit. And you have two jobs to do, both 4-hour jobs, and the meeting is at lunchtime. So you're going to start doing one of these jobs first thing in the morning, and then you're going to have your meeting with this very important person. One of the jobs is something that you absolutely love. Like you love it. The other job is something that you just have been putting off, but the pressure's finally there and you kind of got it done. The deadline is there. The fines are coming. You got to get it done. Which job should you do first? Well, in the normal world, Brian Tracy would tell you, you do the yucky job first. He calls it eat that frog. Do the bad job first because then you can reward yourself with the good job. If you start with the good job and you're going to punish yourself with the bad job, the good job will never stop. Yes, that's true, but not if you have an important meeting at lunchtime. You see, because if you've got this incredibly important meeting coming in at lunchtime, potential investor, for example, if you do the crappy, sludgy, ectoplasmic, sticky, yucky job first, then that's gooey, yucky, negative energy is going to be all over you. And the people are going to come into the meeting, they're going to walk in and go, and then they're going to want to wash their hand. They're not going to like the vibration. It's not going to be attractive. It's going to be repulsive. On the other hand, they walk in and you've just finished doing 4 hours of bliss, 4 hours of you, 4 hours of what you love. They're going to walk into the office and go, I like it in here. I like the vibe that I feel here. I like this person. I'd like to invest in this person. It's one of the most powerful things that I could share with you about business is that from day one, start building the business for your own personal freedom. There are effectively 3 types of business freedom. The first type of business freedom, level 1, is where your business is operating so smoothly that every day that you go to work, you are spending about 90% of the time doing what you love. If you're a chiropractor, it means that you spend 90% of your time doing adjustments because you've got a team that handles all the stuff you don't like. If you're an author, it means you're spending 90% of your time doing the stuff that you love, writing or doing interviews or that kind of stuff. If you're an architect, it means you're spending 90+% of your time designing, say, buildings or bridges or whatever it is that you like to do. That's level 1, where your business is set up and it operates so smoothly and so well that you spend 90+% of your time doing things that you love. I want you to know that at the minimum, everybody should be going after that. I saw Muhammad Ali once, and he said this. He goes, you need to imagine your life. You know, you've got your life. It's like, say this long. How much of it is already gone? How much of that are you going to, what's left? How much of that are you going to sleep? Then how much of that are you going to work? And that's what's left. And how much of that are you going to spend sitting in the doctor's office, doing your taxes, stuck in traffic? But the thing I always thought about is that big chunk. He says, how much of that are you going to work? He makes the assumption, because most people do work as a sacrifice for money. Most people are selling their time just to get money. If you can find a way to love that extra 8 hours a day, that's like an extra 8 hours of life every single day. So at a minimum, everybody should be going after that level 1 business freedom, a business that operates so smoothly and so wonderfully that they spend 90% of their time doing what they love. Level 2 is where your business doesn't even need you to do that anymore. It's where you don't even have to be there. Your business operates so smoothly. It operates so well that you don't have to be there. That may sound impossible to some of you. I'm telling you, it's 100% possible. There's no question about it. It's totally possible. In fact, the majority of businesses in the world do operate that way. Most of the big businesses in the world are not run day by day by the people who own them. It is absolutely possible to build a business that becomes an organism that can operate on its own, that generates profits, that continues to grow. In fact, long after the original founder's even gone. Level 2, business freedom. Level 3 is one day when you exit, if you ever want to. My question for you is, which of those levels do you want to experience? And more important than that, once you experience them, once you get to a place where you're a bored entrepreneur, where are you going to put your talents? Where are you going to put your efforts?
I'm Vishen Lakhiani, and this is the Mind Valley Podcast.
By the way, some of you might be wondering about Mind Valley membership. We just upgraded our membership. Now with Mind Valley membership, you don't just get programs that transform your life. You get access to a private social network. You get access to live events, almost 2 to 3 events every single day with incredible teachers coming on live to teach you, to connect with our members. This summer, we have the likes of Gary Zukav, legendary entrepreneur Mark Cuban, and a whole range of the world's top teachers coming live with us just to help transform the minds and souls of our members. So check it out, mindvalley.com/now. It's all for just $1.60 a day. I sincerely believe Mind Valley is the single best investment you can make in yourself, because where else could you get such a massive upgrade in every dimension of your life for something this cost effective?